Hi, everyone. This is Carrie. Last night, while we were recording our live, we had a surprise visit from a person who actually lived in the neighborhood, the apartment community where Sarah Boone lived while she was living there. And his name is Tyler. And he came up and he gave us some really interesting information about Sarah. It lasted a lot longer than what you're going to watch here. We did clip it down. We had a couple of audio issues, but this is a condensed version of that. And if you're into this case as much as we are, I think you're going to find this interesting. There he is, Tyler.
Okay, I'm trying to hook up my headphones the whole time. I apologize.
Tyler, you're the most exciting thing that's happened to me all day today.
Oh, good. I'm trying. Are you guys able to use your AirPods on here or no?
Yeah, I think so. Just depends on whatever device you're using.
Yeah, I didn't want to put a picture because I just got home and I look. I don't know how some people on YouTube they take your photo and they throw it everywhere, just until I can get to know you guys more. Not that I'm lying or nothing. It's just, you
I
know what I
love
mean.
this. He's betting us. I love this. No, it's
No,
cool. I'm good. I know I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I get you. No
yeah, because
worries.
I always watch your videos and that one time you were like live.
Oh, I think we lost you, Tyler. There you. Oh, there you. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know what
Okay, yeah.
happened.
I walked away from the phone and okay, so yeah, whatever you want to ask. I mean, I lived there for I would say a few years, but yeah,
Okay.
I I don't know when I keep watching the news and they said that she was living there for years. The property manager, she was only living there for like a year and a half.
Okay, you know what I thought was interesting is the property manager, I think, said 2019, but I saw on something that it said 2017. I know it was 2017 was when her divorce with her husband went through.
Well,
So,
I have a funny story with Sarah, and whether you guys believe it or not. Okay, so I'm when I was living there, I was separated with my ex-wife, and I was on multiple dating sites. But you guys remember a thing called Live Links? I don't know if you guys heard of that before.
live links? No.
It's a dating site.
Okay.
I was on multiple dating sites, and she was on one of the dating sites. I can't remember what she was on. She was on one of the dating sites in 2018 when I was meeting people, but I never messaged her. That's the whole reason I started a conversation with her because I recognized her from the app.
So you talked to her out in the neighborhood?
I talked to her multiple. I probably talked to her because I work from home and I have my own business at home, so I'm always home with my dog, and she would always see me with my dog. If you guys ever talk to her live, talk to her about my bulldog, and she'll say, to prove that I'm real. So I have a bulldog named Elvis that she would always want to touch, like pet him, but she would always say, I'm scared to pet him. She was kind of odd.
Yeah. Well, okay. So how often did you see her when she was inebriated? Yeah, we got to get you back in an area where you can't lose connection again. When he loses a connection, I can hear his feed go out, like that static noise in the background. Yo, what should we ask? I'm not prepared for this.
To a brief background about me, like, so I'm in, so I was like an active user of like Vicodin and all types of pain medication when I
Okay.
was living there. So I was an active addict. So I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was pretty out there with I'm in recovery now for the past couple years now. But when I
Oh,
was
good for
living there,
you.
yeah, so that's the whole reason I moved to Utah is to seek this treatment program. And but I was living there, I was pretty wild out with my. So when I was on my binges, I would always have conversations with her, or I never. But it's funny when she first moved in, that guy, I believe his name was Brian. He's kind of like I would call him like the droopy eyes. The fat, he was really huge back then, but he was always there all the time.
Her ex-husband?
Yeah, he was there all the time when they first moved in. Because when she first moved in, her son was younger, and I had younger kids at the time, but he was always there doing, I think, the weekends, like all the time. He was always outside. So, but
Wow.
whatever questions, like I'm telling you, if you guys ever want to talk to her about me, I'm telling you, I don't know how much to prove it. Like, I don't want you guys to think I'm full of it. Like, I wouldn't waste your guys' time, you know.
I'm getting a vibe from you that you're legit. Is everybody else getting that vibe? I'm getting that because you just don't sound like you're coming on here playing game.
Well, because I mentioned the thing about me being an active user because, like I said, I was pretty, I was like heavy into cocaine and pain medication and yeah. So
do I need to run a background check, Tyler?
No. I've never.
I'm just kidding.
Tyler, I'm proud of you. I have no idea what that's like. I know that I smoke and I would have a very hard time quitting smoking. I can't imagine being hooked on a drug like that. We got a couple of questions coming in. So you guys, if you would please put your question in. Will you put like, what can we put in front of the question that will make it stand out to me, y'all? We need something so I don't miss your question in chat.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. Okay. I'm sorry. You were saying?
Well, yeah, I know how it is to smoke because I have been like 8 years clean since I smoked. And the one thing about me is like, I was always like relapsing. So when I was living there, I was always relapsing. So anyways, yeah, whatever questions you guys have for me, I can answer the best I can.
Well, I have one before I ask you Addie's question. I wanted to know from you, like, if from what you remember, I got the impression that she was constantly like wandering around the neighborhood drunk all the time, dressed not so great.
Okay, the one thing I got to tell you about her is, okay, so I'm 46. So when I was living there, what is it, 2000?
We need to get him a better Wi-Fi. All right, so I'd ask you about her wandering the neighborhood, and you were answering me on that.
So when I lived there, I was in my late 30s. When I first met her, it was like late at night. Like I said, I was taking my dog, and she approached me. I pretty much know when people are pretty much out of their mind or high or whatever. When I first met her, she didn't come across as an alcoholic. She was kind of like, in my mind, I know a lot of people who are meth users. I never smoked meth, but she kind of came across as a kind of tweaker to me, when I first met her, because she was always asking me for things constantly.
Like what?
She asked me for things I could probably tell you, okay, when she first met me, she said, hey.
Oh, shit, we lost him again. This is not right. Oh, it's just getting good. She probably asked for a cigarette. We're all going to speculate now to use your bathroom. They're all speculating in the chat, Tyler, to use your bathroom for a cigarette, for a Dr. Pepper. Okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah, listen. She would always start the conversation with me as, hey, can I ask you a question? She would always say, hey, can I ask you something? And then she said, she'd always say, hey, I get paid next week. Do you think you can loan me $10? She always wanted money she always wanted money for cigarettes. So I'm like kind of a people pleaser. So at first I loaned her $7 in quarters the first time. That's all I had. And then like a week passed, and then she paid me back like, I think $6. And then she would always ask me for money or anything like this. I'm trying to think of the one thing that she asked me for. She would ask me for random things like, hey, I'm trying to think. She asked me for a USB drive one time. She was always asking me for weird stuff. But when I first met her, she was never like a.
Y'all are so funny in the chat. What'd she ask you? Do you have an extra puzzle? Okay, he's back.
What part cut out? It's so frustrating because I want to explain, but it keeps cutting in and out. I'm sorry.
You had said something about her asking for a USB drive.
So yeah, she would always ask for something. What's funny is as soon as she met this guy, Jorge Torrez, then she stopped coming around, period. Like she was never coming up to my house. And the one time she did talk to me, Jorge, or I think his brother, because her brother at one time lived with them. So it was Jorge, Jorge's brother, and Sarah lived in that place for like at least 6 months. Because I'm very nosy. I kind of like see who's around. I see what's cars around. Because before that Kia SUV, that Sorrento she had I'm trying to think of the car. She had you guys remember those older cars called Daewoo's?
Yeah, the old. Oh, yeah.
It was a
Those are-
Daewoo. It was a light blue Daewoo.
What color was a Sereno? Do you remember what color her Kia was? I can't believe. So she was coming to his house and asking for things. That is crazy. And we need to know which brother he's talking about that lived there.
So the Kia she had was, I can give you a better one. She had a white 2007 Kia. It was an SUV. I don't know the model number. It was a white SUV. It was a 2007.
I think it was a Sereno. I think you're right. Well, good for. Okay, I believe you. I 100% believe you. I got a good feel for you.
It was a white SUV Kia, and she had at one time she had a sticker in the back. If you ever look at the back of her car, you'll see the sticker on the lower right hand corner.
Okay.
I love,
So I'm just very like nosy. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, Carrie has vetted you, but I have not. So I'm gonna need some identification. So I can go ahead and run that background check on you, please.
She's kidding.
Wait, hey, you know what's
Just go
funny
ahead
when I
and put it
first
all
meet
in the chat.
you know when I first meet people, and this is the truth, I always tell people my name is Tony Henderson, and that's the name of.
Oh, yeah, he passed. He passed the test, didn't he, y'all? I think he does. Do you have a large paper? No, do you have any staples? That's another question. He knocked on his door. Do you have any staples? I'm trying to take my pants in a little bit here.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Okay, so the one thing about her is I don't think she started drinking until like a year after she moved in there. Then she came kind of like, because my mom was a really bad alcoholic, and my mom was very abusive and beat me all the time when I was younger. So Sarah reminded me of my mom. That's why probably I fucking hated her so much. I just my mom was just like Sarah, minus the beating me part, you know.
I totally can see that because I was looking at something with her back patio at one point. It was like when they had first moved in, and it looked all nice and cute and everything. They had it all decorated, and then in the 2019 video in September of 2019, when they went around back and they showed the body cam of the back porch, all there was like 2 little lawn chairs sitting there, and everything was like torn up. You guys aren't putting enough questions in the chat. I've got Angela put a question in. I see your funny questions, but we need some good questions. Okay, here you go. Jeffrey, did they ever ask you to play hide and seek? Tyler, did you ever play hide and seek with them? Did you ever see them playing hide and seek? You know what I think it is? I think that I want to ask him about, like, as far as how many times he saw the cops come out there. Yeah. We got to get to Addie's question too. I got it sitting up here.
Oh, how she was with her son. Yeah.
Jack Snack Pack. What a cute name. Did he hear anything about her hitting someone with a car? That's a good one.
If you guys can hear me fine here, because I'm just sitting on my bed now. Sorry, I've been dealing with an issue with my dog, so I've been trying to go back and forth.
So let's go back to what we were talking about. We had said something about one thing that blew me away is you mentioned that she'd come over and just knock on your door randomly.
No, she would come over to my house. Like, okay, so she would come over. She never came in, but she would always look like she wanted to like walk in. And I said, no, because I had my dog. She would always talk about my dog, but she never wanted to pet my dog, which was very strange. She said she didn't want to pet him, but my dog is really cute.
What kind of dog do you have?
I think he said he had a bulldog.
Was that what he said? I thought he'd said it earlier, but I missed it.
She came over at least once a week asking me for things. It was so bad that I had to complain to the property manager about her. I never really complained about her, but she was getting kind of annoying.
Which Melissa? You had to talk to Melissa about her?
No, see, the lady that they gave the interview to in the office, she was in the back pool giving the interview. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't even know who she was, because every time I lived there with my ex-wife at the time, but every time we had to pay our rent it would be to a property manager online. And the one guy that was living there. He was living in the front. His name was um, Abdul or something, like
Okay.
I can't, an Egyptian guy, but um, they never had it on. They had somebody that was living there, and like I said, I'd never really dealt with the manager because I called and made a complaint against her one time. But like I said, when she first moved in, it was just her and her son, I guess.
Okay, so her and her son were there. How did did you see her with her son much? Because we wanted to know how she was with her son.
Well, when she moved in, okay, to be honest, I didn't see any kids with her at all for the first, I would say, first 6 months. There was nobody there. And then that guy, I guess his name's Brian, came over, and they were always in the. So they would go in the back. There, we have a pond in the back, and you're not supposed to even get near it or go by it. But I guess they were always messing with it. The older, trying to think. Not the son, but the husband was always doing stuff there.
Not Brian. I mean, not George, but Brian,
No,
her
Brian.
ex-husband.
If the guy that was in the body cam was Brian, then that's the guy I seen there all the time. I would.
Bama, if you're still here, if anybody says anything mean to Tyler while he's on the panel, you have my permission to zap him, put him in timeout. I can't believe Brian was over there so much. You're Tyler, whatever you are on right now, it says that you're muted. There
Okay,
you
yeah,
go.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Somebody was asking about, oh, how often were the police over there? Did you see them up there a lot?
Well, I don't know if you guys knew Florida pretty well, but that apartment complex, I mean, it used to be really bad in 2015, 2016. They fixed it up a lot, but there was cops over there all the time, not just for Sarah, but for everyone. Um,
Oh, okay.
so to be honest with you, I don't know. There was always police, like because I lived at 4736 down on number 7. So I was like, maybe when you come out of her door, you'd have to make a right, and I'm to the right of her.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna hang on. Let me pull up something really quick and show you. What do you say? 36. Oh, we see your building. We see where you were. He's in the middle of this building right here.
He's gone from the screen, Carrie.
Oh shit. Well, y'all be patient. He'll be back. So he's saying he lives right here. So Sarah's building is right here. She lived on the end, kind of the flat at the end. And then remember when they said that George's tent? Can I go out any further with this? I don't think I can. When they were talking about him setting up a tent in one of the back porches for a while, they called him. It was in the building on the other side of his building. It's right over here. He was talking about how the neighborhood or whatever, and they had a new company come in and buy that property out. It was sometime after she was arrested, and it looks like that they really, they spruced it up on the outside. It seems. I don't know. Well, I take that back. Unless all of the units look like the one that we saw in their little model unit, they had put down hardwood floors in lieu of carpet. Just kind of updated them a little bit, spent some money on it. But I think there were some not so great people that were living around there. From what he's saying. Okay. Hey.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you see what
Sorry.
I have on screen?
Yes, I had to go back. I'm so sorry because I sometimes when it comes to like hooking up to things, I'm kind of slow. So
No, it's okay. I'm technology challenged as well. But we found your building. We found your unit right here. All right. So we were talking about the police, and you said that police would come random pretty often for just a lot of people in there, huh?
well, yeah, the police would come there all the time. Like I'm not from Florida. I'm originally born and raised in Hawaii, and I moved all around the world. But after I left California, we came to Florida because of different reasons. I was married at the time. My ex-wife had family there, but it was like a nightmare because I was heavily, you know, active using. So then I
It was
had
a bad
to.
time in your life. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say I've been clean now for a couple years, but yeah, I'm still dealing with it because I have to take a medicine like injection every month, and I have to go to treatment. So yeah, it's like I'm not done yet. It's like a
Yeah.
lifelong struggle with me.
Well, they say that it is. You'll always be an addict, and you just have to say, "I deal every day. I wake up to a new day." I guess is what I hear. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I was never hooked on meth or anything. I have all my teeth. I don't look like a drug user, but like with chronic, I was like in foster care since I was like little. So, and because, my parents were very abusive. That's why the whole thing with Sarah being an alcoholic kind of really triggered me when I met her a year, after she moved in. It, you know,
yeah.
and I kind of felt sorry for her because she didn't have a job. Well, she had one job for a brief moment, and then she got fired or something. She worked at a restaurant as a server doing something. I can't remember. She was telling me she was a server at some restaurant. Do you remember that one arrest video where she got arrested?
Yeah, she
And
lost it after she got arrested, didn't she? Because she didn't go to work.
well, I don't understand that video because she was never when she first moved in. She had that server job, and then once she lost that job, she never worked at all.
She was
And
always looking.
well,
That's what they
because
say, Tyler.
what's that?
I said they always say she was always looking.
I don't think she would always try to correct the way I would speak because a lot of times when I would talk to her, she was always when I would have a conversation with her, when you're talking to somebody you really can't fucking stand them. And she would always try to make me feel like she was better than me. But like when I first moved in, I didn't have a car for the first year. And she would always, when I would talk to her about me trying to get a car, she would always say, "Man, it sucks to be your age, not have a car." She would say stuff like that to me, like really pissed me off.
I think she is one of those people that she like. If she feels like she can command you, she's gonna command you. She's just kind of ugh, evil.
But you
What's the word I'm looking for, Sam?
do you know when she was in interrogation and she was ratting on her neighbors being illegals?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure this was her, but when she first met me, I didn't have my dog on the lease. I didn't pay a pet deposit because I didn't have the 500 to pay them. So he was in my house and I said, "Hey, don't say anything." She said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm not a snitch." And like literally a week later, I got a notice on my door stating that I have to pay the deposit or get rid of my dog. And I'm telling you that she's the only one that I told that to.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it. She would always try to. I think she would always give information to the office people to kind of like make them. She would always try to make people think she's better than she is, even though how she always says, "I'm not an alcoholic. I only had one drink." She would
Yeah.
always make herself look better, but she never looked in the mirror. She was really horrible.
So she was a rat. She would go to the office and oh my gosh, you guys, she was a neighborhood Karen, y'all. Well,
I'm not sure it was her because the person. Okay, so okay, so nobody lived next door to me to my left. Nobody lived there. It was empty. They were renovating it because you're not supposed to smoke in the units. And the
mhm.
person who smoked in that unit, I guess, really made the yellow. It was they had to like gut the whole apartment because the walls were completely yellow and they had to gut everything. So I know for a fact that when Sarah lived there. She smoked every day in her apartment. She never went outside and smoked.
We were wondering about that. Well, we saw in one of the police videos, we saw her come out the door and she had a lit cigarette in her hand.
The thing about Sarah, when I told you when I first met her, she came across as somebody who uses like meth because the one I only met George twice, and he was always like, in my opinion, I don't know. I just thought he didn't like. For me, I'm white and Japanese, but I look mostly white. But he just came across as somebody he didn't like white people. I don't know. Maybe even though he was going out with Sarah, he just when she would talk to me when she started dating him. But like I said, her brother his brother was living there with him the first 6 months or 7 months when he moved in with her.
Oh, that was the other. Do you know what did the brother look like? Did he have long hair or was it
No,
short?
it wasn't the guy that stabbed his girlfriend in the
Okay.
head with the. It was this one
One?
was yeah, this one was like a younger brother. I don't know who he was. He was younger. He looked like in high. I don't know how old he was, but he looked young, like somebody
I
in
think
like
it's
high school.
I think it's Juan. I think Juan is the baby. Okay, because I think Moses is older, or Moses doesn't look. Moses does not look young. I don't think.
Because,
So
like I
that's
said,
interesting.
I wasn't okay. I didn't snitch on anybody, but I was very observant on who owned what cars. Because when I bought a car, I would always like park it on Sarah's side because the people that lived by me would park super close. So I would park near her car. Like I said, she didn't have that Kia. She got that Kia like the year prior to her getting arrested. She had another car that was Daewoo. Um,
Uh,
but she would always, when I parked on that side, like I said, I pretty observant what everything she was doing. But if you guys have any other questions about her,
yeah, we do. There's a whole bunch. Hang on. Let me go down this one. Oh, we so there was a question about her hitting somebody with a car. Juan, the brother, said something about he thought she hit somebody with her car. Do you know anything about that?
well, like in an apartment complex, that she hit somebody.
Yeah, I think it sounded like it was in the apartment complex, but I don't know for sure if it was.
So with her car, to be honest, okay, okay, this is kind of embarrassing to say because so I had a bulldog that when I first moved in, I didn't have a vehicle, and I I didn't want to ask anyone for a ride to the vet, but I needed to take him in to the vet, and I did ask her,
Yeah.
and she said, because I had given her money the prior week, and I said, "Hey, do you think you can give me a ride to the vet?" And she said, "I would, but I'm actually going to go see my auntie in a little while." And I knew she didn't have anybody in that area, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, whatever." So I had to call a cab, because I think back then it wasn't really Uber, it wasn't really, maybe it was, but I don't know. I had to call a cab, but when I got back, her car was still in the same spot. And I had confronted her about that. I said, "Hey, how come when I help you all the time, you don't want to ever help me?" um because like I said, she would always be outside. She had this bicycle too. I don't know if you guys ever seen our pictures with her bicycle.
I know he had one. I didn't know she had one. Do you think it was the same one or it was?
No, it was this bicycle was kind of like the ones with the handlebars that kind of dip down like the beach cruiser ones.
Yeah.
It was like one of those type of bikes.
Oh
I
my
think on
gosh.
like I said, when I first met her, I think this is just my opinion, I think she was using other things than alcohol because, like I said, my mom was a raging alcoholic, and Sarah, she always had the box of wine all the time. Every time she would be walking back, she would always have the box of wine. She loved that box of wine because it was the cheapest box of wine on the corner convenience store. She would always get. I think it
You
was like
know,
$7 for a box of wine.
yeah. And you get the more wine for the money.
And
Yeah,
to be
because those
honest with,
boxes, that's a lot of wine in those boxes too.
yeah, to be honest with you, so do you? I was gonna ask you guys. Do you guys think that she's gonna get convicted or get set free?
Oh, she'll get convicted. I just don't see. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
She will be convicted. She will
There's
be
no
convicted.
way.
There's no way she's not going to be convicted. And I know you guys get on me sometimes because I work for the defense. Doesn't mean that I don't think she's guilty, because I do. And I think she's going to jail. Prison,
With that
not jail.
that video, yeah, that video just did it in for. Did um do you think George was because I got Angela asked if George came off as jealous, but you said he just didn't seem friendly. You think maybe he was jealous of you because she talked to you so much?
Okay, so like I said, anytime anything would go down out there, a lot of the neighbors there were like I would say majority of them were Hispanic. Um, they would always think that I was like the snitch or something every time because I was always outside with my dog. I was never a snitch, but the one time she was talking to me, he screamed at her to get over to him like she was a dog, and she's like, "I gotta
Really?
go," and he didn't come over and introduce himself and like, "Hey, I'm whatever." Um, he never introduced himself and I thought he was kind of snobby because I was like, why don't you like come over and say, "Hey, I'm so and so," and like be cool about it instead of being like a jerk about it, calling her like a dog. That's the first impression I got of him is he was kind of an asshole.
So in seeing them around the apartment complex, the times that you did, do you because we felt like she was the domineering one. You don't think she was?
And this is
From what?
my opinion. I think that night when they were drinking, like she was very domineering too. But I think she probably said, George, if you go in that suitcase and do all this and let me push you on the stairs, I'll give you a blowjob for an hour. That's exactly what I think. I think she promised him sexual favors. That's probably why. And I think he probably agreed to like, hey, because they would be the type of drunks be like, they want to challenge themselves. They every time I would see them, they would always be trying to outdo each other.
Really?
They
J JPC wants to know if she ever hit on you. We know she was flirty. We saw her flirty with the cops. Was she ever flirty with you?
like she would like I don't know if maybe I took that like like I said, my ex-wife lived there at the time with me. We were separated, but she knew my ex-wife and I were separated. She's always asked me, "Oh, do you guys live together? Why do you guys live together?" And I said, "Well, we have kids." And so she never came across flirty to me. Kind of made me feel like maybe she wasn't attracted to me, like I was butt ugly, which I'm not. But I don't think she. Maybe because my ex-wife was in the house, but I wish my ex-wife was here. She probably had have more stories like about seeing them, but she never spoke to Sarah. I was always the one outside, but she never flirted with me. I mean, she would always touch the side of my arm, like when she would like be happy asking me for things. She would always get flirty and touch the side of my arm, like when she wanted something.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people were saying about her. That's you're the third. Well, you're the third or fourth person that said that. That's interesting. And I think she got off on talking down to people is what I believe.
I just thought, you know, like that thumbnail you put of her reaching over the did you see the video with the cops camera when with the other cops camera and when he took the police tape out and she was like, "Why do you have to get the police tape out?"
I don't
Did you
think so.
There's another video with the other with the Hispanic or whatever nationality the other cop is through his point of view. There's two videos with the black cop and then with the other cop. Point of view. It's through his body cam, but when he grabs the police tape to tape it around the trees, Sarah's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, do you really have to do that? All we're paying is hide and seek." And then she keeps asking him for water. And then when he finally says that you can have water, she walks over and she's like mumbling to herself. She's like, "I'm literally gonna go to jail for hide and seek." And you can hear her say it if you listen closely. But
Are you talking about when she was leaning against the building to go lean down and get water?
no. When the cop came over and put the tape around the tree, she kept asking him for water. And then when he said, "Yeah, you can have water," and she walks past him and she says, "I'm literally gonna go to jail for playing hide and seek." You can hear it through his body cam.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so she gets water the first time through your thumbnail, and then she hops over the bush, and then the lady cop comes over, and then she goes back and gets more water,
Yeah.
um, which is very strange.
Did you ever
But
call 911 on her?
no, I didn't. I was, to be honest, I was doing like shady, not shady things like around. I was just, like I said, heavily. I was heavily using drugs, and I didn't want any involvement with any police there because you know, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like ruin my high, but I was always doing not the right things there. Like I don't want to get into detail all the stuff I was doing. Like so with Sarah, the thing that I noticed about her is when I talked to her, she had really really bad breath. She never seemed to want to like brush her teeth. Her breath like reeked like it just and this is the truth. Like she just really stunk like her breath.
Okay.
Because there
What?
was one thing about her that every time I would look at her, it would always turn me off about what she had in her mouth. Okay, so when someone's missing teeth and they have that retainer.
Yeah.
So I was talking to her about my sister. My sister had a root canal, and Sarah's like, "Whatever you do, get the root canal. Don't have her pull her tooth because she's gonna pull her tooth and she's not gonna be able to afford the implant or the bridge or the." And I said, she's like, and then so on the side of her gum. Okay, so it'll probably be like three teeth back from her front teeth. She has a retainer that has two teeth in it.
Oh.
So it's like one of those retainers because you can actually get a bridge or an implant that drills into your gums, or you can get like this retainer that you have to put in your mouth.
Yeah.
So she was just telling me, whatever your sister does, don't tell her not to pull her tooth because she's gonna regret it. Because I had my tooth pulled when I was in my early teens, and I had a gap, and it was making me really self conscious for years. And so like I don't know if this stuff you guys can probably.
I don't know. I'm looking for while I'm looking for questions. And by the way, let me put this up. Thank you so much, Dan Russell. Sarah asked the police a few times for water, and they refused when they were talking to her outside the apartment. Yeah, I don't think they were allowed to give her anything, and then nobody had any bottled water at first. Yeah. Thank you, Dan, for your super chat. Just if you can think of any stories, let's hear them.
A lot of the stories I probably have of her when I first met her, you guys probably won't believe me anyway.
Well, I honestly, I think it's Sarah Boone. We'd probably believe just about anything you said. You refer to her as being a tweaker, and I almost wonder. You know how she has that little she has this thing that she does with her face. It's a tick, and I noticed when I don't know if you guys have seen. I haven't put it on my channel because I didn't want to steal it off that other chick's channel. But she had gotten a video of when Sarah was on Nickelodeon when she was younger. She kind of has the same tick when she was a kid. So because well, and she was doing it in court too, and we know she wasn't on anything in court, but it's just I guess it's just, I don't know what you call that. It's like
Nickelodeon.
she was on a Nickelodeon TV show when she was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I seen that Nickelodeon clip, and I'm kind of like hesitant that was her because that girl kind of looks way too pretty to be her. I don't know. She has the same name, and I know Nickelodeon's in Florida, and they have like all their areas there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It was ever proven that that was her, like that was Sarah Boone,
Well, I'm pretty sure it was her because yeah, I'm pretty sure it was her. It
because
looked to me, it looked just like her. I've got her pictures of her when she was in high school.
yeah, because when
I
I
did.
so she was always telling me that she was serious. Okay, the reason I know she was probably a tweaker, she was uh, showing me photos of 2000. She was showing me photos of 2014 and 15 when she was really heavy, and she lost a lot of weight. And that you only lose a lot of weight like that if you smoke meth. And if you notice that the one time I did talk to George, George was probably in his what late
He was in
30s
his
when I
Yeah,
well
I think
late
he was in
30s
his
when I
early 40s.
well when I met him he was in his late 30s, but he had no teeth. Like I refer to his teeth as stubbles. Like you know when a baby starts having their teeth come in, their little stubs.
Yeah.
George's teeth were all like that. Like when you're a grown adult and you have no teeth, you're a meth head. So I think that he was a meth head, and maybe when she met him, I don't know. But like I said, she was always I was always on dating sites, and the one time I did see her on a dating site, I mentioned it to her, and then but I don't know if you guys can ever find some of her old profiles from when she's on dating sites.
Yeah, I think
Probably not.
you probably have to join to get on there, but that would be funny though. To
Well,
to
I was on
to,
this
to
one called
read her
Plenty of.
profile would be hilarious. That would be hilarious.
Well, yeah, I was on this one called Plenty of Fish, and I seen her because it shows you the people that's 1 mile from you.
Okay, guys, if you're on Plenty of Fish, if you have a subscription, and you want to send me
Well, I don't think
the
she's on there
link,
now.
well,
Um,
well, yeah, that's true. It would have already come off because she probably had a paid for subscription. That's right. You got to pay for it, don't you?
no, for the men. I mean, well, back then you never had to pay to get messages or anything. And then now, I guess if you join it now, you have to pay to receive messages. I mean, back then you didn't have to pay for anything.
So
Um,
she could still. I don't know. That's funny.
I
So I think that she mentioned, when she was talking about the CPR thing, when she was talking to 911, and I think also the first responders, that he had been losing his teeth. She kept mentioning that, and because she was kind of trying to drive that into because she felt like it was a medical issue is why he died. It had nothing to do with the fact that she had suffocated him.
the one thing about her is she okay, so she was like kind of like OCD. She said she had told me that she didn't like to kiss on. She's like, in my relationships, I don't like to kiss on the lips. I just like to kiss on the cheek. So I don't think she gave him CPR because, um, I don't see her putting her lips on him because I think the way she talked about him is kind of like she was repulsed by him. You know, he was kind of disgusting to her.
Really?
And every time I seen him and I talked to him, he just scared the hell out of me because his eyes are so black, and he was the type of guy that would be talking to you, and you would have a conversation with him, but he would be talking to someone else in another conversation. Like he wouldn't be on the same length as you, you know.
Yeah.
And then he would just stare in the sky and just walk away from you. The one conversation I did have with him, but I
You
don't
know,
understand when they said he was always outside. I never seen him outside with her son ever.
you didn't. What about, did you ever see him, did you see them outside other than when he yelled at her that time? Did you see him outside fighting at all?
They were always in the back. Okay, so they did a lot of stuff in their back of the property. Um, like one time, I don't know who got in trouble, but somebody out there had like a fire out there. Like they made like a little bonfire or
Oh.
something. I don't know if it was them because they had another neighbor that was next door to them. That was always doing things, but there was always screaming coming from their side all the time.
Mm.
They were screaming, and but like I said, when I was like heavily using, I would be up all night and then I would sleep during the day. So there's probably never I seen her like early in the morning like tweaked out. But when I first met her, I think she was like I said, a tweaker. You know, she was on meth. That's just what I can probably bet everything she was probably on meth. You know.
Yeah. And see, I don't know how to tell that either because I've never been around it, so I don't know.
No, because okay, so when you're on meth, like you're talking like a million miles a minute and you don't sleep, you know, you're just, and she was always asking for things. She came over to my house all the time, late at night. Like she would, the last time she came over was at 10:30 at night and, asking me for help to move her bed. She said, can you help me move my bed and put it in this location? I said, no, I can't. I'm not, you know, I just got, you know, annoyed with her. She was always asking me for things.
To help you move a bed. So she was
No, she
easy.
can't.
She'd jump to ask you, she'd jump over to say, hey, can you help me do this? But if you just needed a ride up to the vet for your dog, because supposedly she's a dog lover, she wouldn't help you. That's crazy.
No, she had I don't know if in the video they said he had two dogs. One was blind and one was deaf.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what the fuck when she had dogs, but I never seen her with any pets there.
There's pictures of them when they were on the outside in the back, but I saw them, and then they were in the window too, and the cops were there. Maybe when you know what? Maybe she didn't get the dogs until, well, no, I think they've been there the whole time. I don't know.
I was just gonna say that so I never was in her house. That's one thing I can say. The only time we would have a conversation when I would be out with my dog, or she would come over asking me for things. But I would say she probably asked me, and she probably owes me at least $22. Um, I guess when my ex-wife moved out, we got divorced. My ex-wife moved out, and it was just me there, and I couldn't afford to live there. My ex-wife had got into some kind of argument with her because she came over late at night, and um, my ex-wife didn't know who she was, and they got into kind of an argument, and that's the last time I talked to her.
It's weird that did you hear in the interrogation they were talking about how they wouldn't let her go to the bathroom? Somebody wouldn't let her in the apartment to go to the bathroom.
In that day, well, I don't think I was even, yeah, 'cause she got arrested in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I wasn't even
2020.
there. I didn't even put it together that like when she was in interrogation and they were talking about like going to the bathroom. I wish I had that video or seen it. You know, they probably were out there probably for all day long because all these other people had to come and investigate the body. And I can see her going to, because I know the neighbor to the left to her, they hated her. Um, they did not like her because they were always screaming.
Yeah.
She would always talk to me. Okay, so her neighbor to the left of her, she always told me, she said, they keep pounding the walls. They keep pounding our walls. What I do? And I said, well, just pound the walls back. And she's like, I don't know. Every time I walk down the stairs to do anything, they keep pounding on the walls, on the side of the wall. And I said, well, pound back or go talk to him. I said, I would just go talk to him and say, why do you guys keep pounding? Because I know what she's talking. I have a neighbor that lives below me here, and every time I walk at night, he used to pound the ceiling, you know?
Yeah. Well, and
And
that's that you get that in an apartment complex, but I bet they heard him yelling and fighting and stuff too a lot.
okay, so like I said, when that guy Jorge, whoever moved in, I don't think she met him at that pool hall because that pool hall that they're talking about, it was kind of like a biker bar or whatever. Um, I don't know if I think she met him through a Dateline, to be honest with you.
Oh, you think so? Yeah, because I think Brian had said he thought she'd met him in a bar, but there's no telling. She could have met him on a site.
Yeah, but your friend, your friend that does the investigations, that's probably she could probably tell you that Brian's the one that bailed Jorge out of jail every time he was arrested.
Brian bailed Jorge out?
Yeah, and that's not a lie. Like I'm telling you, it's not a lie. Go look it up. So Sarah had a no contact with George, so she couldn't bail him out. So she would always tell
Oh, yeah.
Brian to go do it for her
That makes
because she
sense.
told me that many times that she would always have to have her. She's like, now I have to have Max's husband go bail him out.
That makes sense. I know one time his mom mailed him out, but the other times I couldn't tell. And I was going to get Casey because Casey was a bail bondsman. I was going to get her to tell us what what she knew about how that to read those forms and stuff because there was sometimes I couldn't tell at all.
I could
Um,
probably find Brian's number because she called Brian from my phone because okay, so she didn't have like a regular phone at first. You know how you use your phone through your Wi-Fi? It's like one of those text-free numbers.
hmm
So she's never had money ever. She never had a job. I think her alimony paid her rent. And she was on EBT because, okay, so I was on EBT for like the first year, and I know I was telling her how to get on EBT and do all that. So she had EBT for like the first 3 years, and she got like I think $186 a month. So she was on welfare too, and you could probably find her under there collecting welfare. But she called Brian 3 times on my cell phone, and I could probably find his number if I go on the records because I still have the same phone.
I wouldn't call him though. I wouldn't bother. I don't want to bother him or the son.
No, I would call him. I would say, hey, because I would just that's the type of person I would say, hey, Brian, this is I would just probably make up a name. Hey, I just wanted to see if that's your number.
Oh,
Uh, but like I said, I'm pretty sure he's probably thrilled that she's in jail.
I think so too. I think he's so relieved. His life has gotten so much easier because it's so for him. You'd think usually it's easier to co-parent with somebody, because they seem to get along fairly well. But the problem was the way she was, and for him, it's probably easier to take care of his son now that he knows he has a structure. There's more structure there.
Well,
Gayla asked if you knew Eli and Kim because she mentioned them. Is that Eli and Kim that live
no,
next door to
the
her?
people that she was like mentioning the thing, Eli and Kim, Eli and Kim. The thing
Yeah.
is, the people that she's talking about, it was kind of like a college town too. Like a lot of college kids would move in, they would stay 6 months and leave. So next door to her and behind her, people was coming and going all the time. Like there was always moving trucks. So I don't know I heard a guy do an interview with some guy who played the guitar, but if he's that, he said he was like 19 or talking to that guy Scott. So
Yeah,
I
his
don't
name's
probably even
Vinny.
know who he was. Yeah, the thing
He
is,
lived he lived in the apartment complex. So the apartment to the right of her was those were the two there was a downstairs apartment and upstairs apartment, and he lived on the downstairs one.
yeah, because if you come out of Sarah's door and you make a right, that's where they live probably. And if you go like one over, there was my place. I was on number 7. So I think I don't know. Me and Sarah probably like clicked at first because my ex-wife, I would kind of compare my ex-wife to Brian because my ex-wife treated me like how Brian treated her, like always needing something.
Mhm.
Because when I was like living alone, I was kind of struggling at first, and I was always asking her for help and whatever. So
Mhm.
maybe that's why we kind of like related with each other. But with
Yeah.
me, I was open about my addiction and me. She never once asked me for like, hey, can I buy some like Viking? Can I buy some like oxys from you or whatever? Because I never talked to her about it. Because after the whole dog thing, I never told her anything personal because I didn't trust her.
Yeah, it seems like if she knew you were using drugs and she was a drug user, she would have asked y'all would have that would have been a topic of
No, no,
conversation,
no.
surely.
She did know I was like how I told you guys I was an active, um, user, like I was in recovery. I told her that I was using painkillers since I was in my 20s. So she knew all that. I didn't tell her my daily like routine, but she knew I was taking these drugs. That's why, like, I know if someone's taking oxys like me, they're gonna ask me for them, or they're gonna ask me for this drug. Um, so I don't know. I like I said, I'm pretty sure that she was on meth. But like she did ask me one time if I ever, because I refer to meth as like ice, because in Hawaii they call it ice. But um, I don't know. I always figured she was on meth because that's the way she acted when I first met her.
Right. What
Yeah, but
about,
if
did you ever see bruises on her or anything?
with Sarah is like I said, I wish I could show you a picture of what my mom looked like before she died. My mom was lived in Hawaii her life, but she looked just like Sarah, like bony white lady with short hair. I think my mom had the same kind of haircut as Sarah too. And my mom always had like bruises and like veins popping out because she was like a skinny crackhead. Um, Sarah just had really bony arms and everything. Um, but she, like I said, the reason I don't think she was drinking when I first met her because she was never like jumpy and happy, like asking me for things. She would always come across like kind of like sad, like, hey, can you help me with this and that, you know?
Woe is me type thing. Yeah. I'm just
And
curious though if she, I mean, in its interaction, in the time that you interacted with her at all, did you ever come across? Did you ever feel like she was being, other than when you saw him talk to her that way that time? Did anything else give you any signs that you felt like she was abused?
oh no, because I got the okay. So my ex-wife is more the like with my kids. She's more like the stern person. Like my kids kind of walk over me, ask me for everything because they
Yeah.
know I'm not gonna like I'm not an abusive person and I'm not gonna ever hit them when they were little. I get the feeling with Sarah that she was more the dominant, and then she would kind of like tell him what to do. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think she was ever abused by him. I think when they fought, it was kind of like a mutual battle, you know?
Yeah.
And I think she probably promised him something to get in that suitcase because all the injuries that he had, I think, was probably from the stairs. And or either this, I think she either choked him and thought he was dead and threw him in the suitcase and probably dragged him down the stairs. But that wouldn't make sense why he would wake up and say, "Hey, Sarah, let me out of here." He would be pissed, you know. Um,
Mhm.
but also maybe prior to that video, he was probably bitching at her, saying, "Hey, bitch, get me the fuck out of here." And then he's like, "Okay, maybe if I talk to her calmly, she'll let me out of here," you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, maybe he had two fingers below. But like I said, that guy wasn't the brightest person at all. Um,
You picked up on the fact he wasn't very.
well, no, because I know when he got that so-called job at Ace Hardware, she would always say, and it broke his heart when he lost his job. He lost his job there because he was damn alcoholic and he never went to work. They
Mm.
closed that location down because because when Home Depot and all these other businesses put up shop like down the street, they closed up everything. You know.
And I think COVID had a lot to do with it too, though.
Yeah. Luckily, I moved back here, but yeah, I could probably send you something through your emails. Like I have all my like old receipts from when I paid them. I could probably show you just so you know I'm not like lying to you because I'm
No,
always
I
like
no,
paranoid.
I believe you. I'm not. I don't have any question about that now because you've said enough things that
And I
ring
and I
true.
and I have several photos of my dog that I took outside in the back of yeah, I do have several photos of him, and you could probably match it up
Oh,
at that property.
yeah. Here, I'm gonna go to there's a chat over here to the side. Do you see where it says private chat?
Yeah. I mean, let me see. It's so weird how the thing's finally let us talk, but
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
put my
able to
email.
see any of the chat. It's so weird.
Oh, okay. Well, if you go into if you go into any description of any video of mine, my email address is in there. Because I wouldn't mind having some people, because I feel like what's going to happen is now that we've talked to you, there's going to be some people that come back and there's going to be lots of questions that I'm going to think about after we've gotten off the stream here. So if you can email me, it'd be awesome. Then I could get
Yeah,
back
I
in touch
have
with you.
Yeah, I have several photos with my dog and then also with my kids because I have 2 kids. So they were younger back then, but yeah, I have photos with when we're in the back.
Did George, was he really tiny guy? He was because he does look small around the officers.
Yeah, that to be honest, like I think he was like 5 foot something. But with the thing that I got with him is like maybe he was like abusive towards her behind closed doors, but I didn't get that vibe. Like only that one time when he yelled to have her come, but it was like very late at night when she was outside talking to me. She
Yeah,
had,
I think I kind of wonder sometimes if he didn't have to pull her back because she seemed very talkative to everybody in the neighborhood.
well, yeah, I know the one thing she did ask me for that she got really pissed. She came over the first time she met me and said, "Hi, um, can I have your Wi-Fi password?" That's the first thing she asked me.
Oh
And
my God.
I said, "Who are you?" She's like, "Oh, we just moved in right over there. My name's Sarah." And I said, "No, I don't." And I told her I didn't have Wi-Fi. And then the very next day, she came up and she said, "Well, if you don't have Wi-Fi, then what is this Thai Brutes or like that's your name on my name was like part of my name on the Wi-Fi handle." And I said,
Oh,
"That's not me." I just thought it was very weird for someone to ask for my password and I don't even know them.
right. And just randomly go, do you mind? Like instead of saying, do you mind if I
Yeah,
use
because
your
I don't know
Wi-Fi?
if she, yeah,
Yeah,
because what if she's gonna look at child porn? I don't know what she's gonna do because that's connected to my house.
exactly.
And
Um,
she's asked me for inappropriate things. I'm trying to think of everything, but my memory's bad, but I probably will think of it. But I know for a fact that she didn't like my dog, and even though she acted like she did like him, she would never touch him. And if I'll show you the photos of my dog, he's really cute. He's like, he's an English bulldog, but they have those ugly, cute faces.
oh, I love English bulldogs. They're adorable, and they don't ever come across as mean to me. Did she ever go around? Was she walking around the neighborhood half the time with no bra on?
Well, the one thing about her is I don't know when she did the interview, you can tell she had her bra on, but that she would always walk around when she came into my house. She always was barefoot, and she always wore I'm trying to think of the shorts. They were like jean shorts, but she was really bony all the time.
Yeah.
I regret because when I meet people, I always try to like be a people pleaser and like when she first moved in. I was always like, "Hey, do you need anything?" And that was my mistake by offering her anything if she needed it, you know?
No, and
Um,
she tried to take you up on that.
no, I did give her a few things that whoever dumped her house probably threw it away. I know I gave her a microwave and I gave her, trying to think of the other thing I gave her. Um, I had bought a new microwave and I said, "Do you need a microwave?" And she's like, "Okay." But she was acting like she didn't like, she was acting like it was like Goodwill stuff, and it was a really nice microwave. And like I said, she would always make herself look like she was better than me all the time.
Yeah, that was her MO.
Like that car she has, that Kia, that was Brian's old car.
That makes
She said
sense.
that because when they moved in, that Kia, whatever that car is, a Sorento or something, that car was moving all her stuff because they didn't have a U-Haul. They were moving stuff from that car back and forth, back and forth. And they had I guess he lived close because they had the mattress on the top of that thing tied down with rope. So yeah, if you ever, I don't know if you can find the records of that car, but it'll probably show you that it was in his name at one time.
Um, Gayla said, didn't another neighbor say he thought she was tweaking? I don't know. I don't know if I heard that. I
No,
know I
that
know that the guy Benny next door, I know that he said he was the one that played the guitar, the young guy next door. I know he said they were drunk all the time. It kind of makes sense though, because when you look at the 911 calls, Tyler, there were no 911 calls. There was one in the summer of 2018. And then for a whole year, nothing. No 911 calls. Then all of a sudden in the summer of, I'm sorry, 2018, and then in 2019, I think it was July that it started, or June that it started. More call. They started to call again, and then it was like back to back to back to back to back, and it was just weird how there was a bunch of them all of a sudden.
I can probably bet anything. If I was still living in an apartment complex when George died, she probably would have came over, and I think she called Brian to ask him to get rid of the body. To be honest, I think she wanted, because if you really cared about this guy, you would have called 911 when you first noticed he was dead. I think she would have wanted Brian to get rid of the body for her,
Yeah,
because
we were thinking that too.
and she probably would have came over and said, "Hey, Tyler, can you help me dump this suitcase?" And there's nothing in it. This is help me get rid of this suitcase. And my dumbass probably just would have said, "Okay, I'll dump it for you." And I probably would have just carried it, threw it in the dumpster for her, not thinking a body was in there. And then
I
my
don't know. I think
fingerprints
you
would
might
have
have
been
figured
all
it
over
out.
that.
No, I think you would have figured that out. But yeah. So she just come. So I'm trying to think of all the questions that I want to ask you because I know there's going to be more after we get off. Do you feel like she walked around taking advantage of people all the time? I mean, how many other people did you see her hanging out with and talking to around the neighborhood?
Well, like I said, that neighborhood, well, in the area, that's like at the time it was like kind of the cheapest place to rent. I think our rent was like close to like 1,000 for that place. It was pretty cheap in that area, and
Yeah.
I always seen her. There was a lot of Hispanic people and like college kids, but she only bothered me, and then I didn't see her. Like I said, I didn't see her outside talking to that many people. When I heard that she got into it with somebody in the property that ran, I don't know what they were talking about in an interview, that there was two families up there, and Sarah got into it with them.
Yeah, something about they felt like somebody's boyfriend was hitting on her or something, and she said something to somebody about it, and it started a big hoopla.
Not to be like judgmental, but I don't find Sarah remotely even attractive at all. I just find her like not even attractive. So I don't know what guys see in her.
Yeah, well,
And, but yeah, I actually believe that she'll probably spend the rest of her life in jail because I think she's too proud to take a deal. Because, like I said, when she talks to me, she always acts like she has like a Bentley. She always says, this is what I used to have, and everything. She'd always talk about her family too, how she came up with privilege all the time. Um,
oh
she
really?
ne- she never mentioned like her brothers or anything. I didn't even know she had brothers until I watched like the video of her talking about her brothers.
Yeah, and then the one is I guess been in and out of jail, kind of a he likes children, and then there's another one that is a good, seems like a upstanding citizen. He's a Marine, but he lives in Altamont Springs. So wow. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Well, like I said, I can email you, and then you can call my number, or I can send you the photos.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
No, but what I don't know what photos you want, because I can probably show like my paste, my
Don't
the
send me any
pain.
pictures of your children. Just like if
No, no,
you
no,
like
no.
of
I
your
was just
dog.
gonna. Yeah, I have a few photos in the back of the property. Um, I used to walk him all around because it used to be nice to walk around there in the back because they, before when I first moved in, they did a lot of changes to that place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think what I could send you, or even call somebody to prove that I live there. I don't know. I don't want you guys to think I'm like full of it because I wouldn't waste your time.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't
No,
know.
some people might discredit me because as soon as I talk to you guys, they said, "Oh, I used to be an active user and I'm in recovery." Some people might think I'm like full of it. Some people judge people
Yeah,
by
that's true. That's true.
so.
I know people get crazy on here. Well,
I always,
Emma says thank you. We believe you. Thank you so much.
and I think
Does
if I was going to
anybody?
lie about something, I probably would lie about something more like you know, fun to talk about. Like, oh, I used to live next door to Wade Wilson or something. And he was a crackhead.
Do you know what Brian does for a living? I thought I saw that somewhere one time, and I don't know.
Well, I don't. She never talked about him, but
Oh, I lost you, Tyler.
yeah, I was just saying when I first seen him, I thought that was her father because he has like he's like really huge compared to her, and he looks way older than her.
You think so? Yeah.
I just
Well,
thought it was her. I think that guy is probably like pretty much. She had him around his finger. She could have done anything, and he would have. But he was probably just sick of her.
I kind of I think I heard some resentment in Brian's voice when he was talking about George and Sarah. You know, he did say that she wanted to party all the time and everything. She didn't want to be married anymore. She didn't want to have kids. She wanted to go out and party or whatever. But I, yeah, that is kind of interesting that you said that, because I've always kind of wondered if she had not gotten involved with George, if Brian would still be in her life or would have been in her life.
Yeah, it's kind of like you know, when somebody, I was gonna say, in Utah, there's a lot of Mormons here, and when they don't want to become Mormons no more, they kind of want to go crazy and party all the time, you know. And
Oh,
maybe
really?
Sarah, like maybe Sarah was like tied down the whole time with Brian, because I didn't get a vibe that he was kind of like more of a, he was more of like a homebody. He wanted to stay home, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you can still go out and have fun and not like get drunk, but you know, like I just think that she probably wanted to relive her high school days, you know, and just go
Could
out and
be.
party.
Could be.
Because I don't know where she met that guy, but I'm pretty sure she met him through the dating line. Because, like I said, when I seen her profile there, um, I wish I would have had those photos, because I had photos with her long hair.
She had long hair back then?
She had a lot of photos on there that weren't even recent photos. They were like years ago. And then she had one with her short hair.
What was the bar? What was the name of the bar across the street that they always talk about? I don't know the name of it. They were saying I should use that as a name to vet you, but we all believe you, so it doesn't matter. But I don't remember the name of the bar across the street. Oh, I think we lost Tyler again. If you can hear me, Tyler, Laura says, "Thank you, Tyler, and best of luck with your continuing recovery." That's very sweet of you. Is it Laria? Am I saying that right? Your name, Laria? Joe Bailey says, "We believe you, buddy. No worries." Thea says, "I think Brian loved her and only broke up because she couldn't hold it together." That and George, though. I agree with you. I think he was in love with her. Yeah. Even though she was abusive, Cindy, yes. I can hear you now, Taylor.
No, you think he was still in love with her?
Yeah, we think Brian was still in love with Sarah.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, because like when my ex-wife moved out and she always needed something, I would probably be always there to help her whenever she needed help, you know?
Yeah.
Because I loved her as a person, but not like I wanted to get back together with her. Maybe he just loved her as a person, you know?
Yeah.
And I think he just probably felt bad for her.
And he was trying to, do what was right for his son too, to keep her in their son's life as much as possible. I mean, a lot of parents wouldn't have put up with her the way that she was doing. They would have just said, "That's it. You can't see our son anymore." But he tried to work with her on it. And he did it for the sake of his son, I think. Well, unless he still hadn't gotten over her.
Well, the thing
Advertising
about
and
her
marketing. He was in
son,
advertising and marketing.
yeah, her son, she never really even talked to about her son to me at all. Like I didn't even know she had a son for the longest time, until I was like, because
Perugia says she definitely didn't behave as if she was tied down with Brian. You want me to ask about his size and weight again? Susan, is your last name Booney, or are you being funny? I heard this just a few minutes ago. What, Sharon? What you talking about there, Sharon? Oh my gosh, I swear I heard this just a few minutes ago. What'd you hear a few minutes ago? Tyler, you back? Oh, we lost him.
I think Tyler dipped.
I think he disconnected by accident. He seems very nice. I appreciate him getting up. Tyler, if you're listening, thank you so much for getting up and doing that. That's awesome. It's, as much as we've been on this case and everything, it's like just to hear somebody that saw more than what we know going on over there, because it's been 4 freaking years. I haven't been doing the case for 4 years, but I've been in depth with it. I mean, that's all I've been focused on for the last several months. So it's like to hear something outside of what we already hear from law enforcement and everything. It's nice to be able to kind of go, "Oh, that makes sense." Yeah.
Well, with how long some of my cases have been hanging around, it's like you do all the work for them in the first year and a half, and 5 years down the road, it finally goes to trial, and you're back to zero. You have to start over again because you can't remember all the things, So to find somebody that has that good of a memory from her complex. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and feel free to leave a comment. Have a blessed day.